What's good? What's good? Alright, check it out. This is was this episode 6 of the Drop Podcast, or Pokemon FireRed Let's Play if you're watching on YouTube. Let's see. What's good? Alright, I'm a little shook. What do I talk about? So yeah, oh yeah, I was saying, usually what I do is, I record these on Saturday morning, but I decided I'd make another one just for fun and record it, Monday evening, just to have some more content being pushed out. Like I said, if you go on, you can check out my anchor.fm, or you can check out, I think this is on Spotify and a whole bunch of other stuff. Yeah, you can check that out. And of course, like I said, or Pokemon if you want to watch that just for fun. Alright, man, so what is up? I just took a nap, so I'm fresh. So I just recorded a really good episode of what is it called? Of the drop for next Wednesday. This one I'm talking about, because I find at my new job that, like, there's work to do, but whenever, like, we all sort of have to, like, rely on each other. So, like, the system is you have people called pickers who are, like, shopping, and then you have you have to have someone who's printing out orders that people are buying from your stock, and then you have to and then once they print it out, you'll have a picker that picks up this piece of paper, and they will go down the list and go through, like, all of our shelves, and I mean, basically what I said. It's like shopping. So basically, you'll have people shopping, and then you have what's called a checker, which the checker just has to make sure that the right count, like that the pickers picked the right amount of stuff for the boxes, or not for the boxes, but from all the shelves that was in the order. And so then once the person checks it, then I have to ship it. That's what they want me to do. I do a lot of things, but I think that's, like, the main job that they sort of want out of me. Yeah, so yeah, and so basically, like, what I'm saying is, so there's a lot of people that have to be working together, and what happens is sometimes I get done early, and I actually do that on purpose, because I like to have that extra time. Like today, I actually think I finished, like, a full hook for a song that I'm working on, and then like last Friday, this is what I was talking about. Last Friday, because Friday and Thursdays are super slow there. Like, I guess they don't get a lot of orders or some of that sort. I actually thought Friday was super busy, but Thursday wasn't as busy. Thursday and Wednesday were pretty slow. Hold on, let me finish this thought. So basically, like, what happens a lot whenever you're on shipping, boxing, is you're waiting on someone to go check the boxes. But it's so busy, like, or not, it's not busy, but like everyone, like the people who check tend to be part of the, I guess, like administration of the administration of the company, I guess. I don't know if that's like the right terms, but they're like higher ups. And so everyone always needs their attention, it seems. And so it takes forever for one thing to get done, I feel. And they're actually changing the system because of that. They're gonna change it to where whenever me as a shipper, whenever I go to like scan and order and check the items, it'll automatically check the order itself, where someone doesn't have to come and count everything and make sure it's all there. So that'll make it go faster and stuff like that. But then at the same time, like, once you get all the orders done and you're just waiting on pickers to pick, like, you still don't have anything to do. So I mean, all that to say that I have a lot of free time whenever I push through. And so, well, one, I'm also allowed to have earbuds in, so it's just, I don't know, like, it's really cool. Great job, especially for like what I'm trying to do. Which I'm for sure, just by the way, I'm gonna release a song this week. All the lyrics are written. It's just a matter of recording it, editing it, and just putting it all together. And then of course, like, finding good time to do all that. But that is 100% for sure coming out this week for sure. I'm starting to think I'm gonna do a song a week just for fun. Maybe see if I can get some revenue coming from that, but we'll see. But shoot, I was on a thought, but then I forgot. Something about the pickers and the shippers. Oh yeah. So today I was recording a drop podcast, or not podcast, but just like a regular episode, and I had and oh shoot, what am I saying? Oh yeah, and I was talking about how I have I'm getting distracted. Oh, like, so in my free time, I had time to like write this plan about how I'm going to organize, or basically like on this piece of paper I wrote down picture perfect. And so like the idea is that I am creating like the ideal picture of like what I want to do and be in the future as far as like my work goes. Like, this picture perfect was specifically for how I want to make income. And so basically, like, I wrote down like a whole bunch of different ways that I want to have passive income streams coming. And so basically, like, I have stuff like just reading off right now. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but I have my little book that I wrote. It's called I think it's called like why you should set goals as a teen. Something about like the art of setting goals. But you can find it on my Instagram, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, why I set goals as a teen, and that sort of just introduced me. Like, I'm not making much money from it, but it introduced me to sort of like how books work and how you can make money from that. So I thought that was kind of dope. So I'm gonna and I enjoy it. Like, I enjoy sort of like organizing my thoughts and thinking them through, putting them together. And I think this one is really good, actually. Like, I think, like, I highly recommend this one. If I weren't me, I would definitely read it, and, like, for sure. Like, if someone else wrote it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, I would put down some money to read it. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah. But as I was saying, like, what is the desired work outcomes or sources of incomes that I want? And so I was just thinking through, and so I have stuff like I want to do speaking gigs, so I want to start like somehow getting gigs where I can like come in front of like a crowd and talk about, I don't know, like some sort of like TED Talk thing about like goal setting or something, because that's my niche, you know. Like, I think setting goals is something that's so crucial towards like success, or not even that, but having a vision and then setting goals towards that vision. Like, because building, like, you can have goals, but you need to have the right goals, you know what I mean? Or else you're just sort of doing stuff. It's like, trying to think, what's a good analogy? Well, it's kind of like you're doing nothing, but doing a lot, you know what I mean? Like, how do I put this? You think you're being productive, but, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. Okay, so you think you're being productive, but jeez. Okay, but you're accomplishing nothing. This is so frustrating. What was I gonna say? Like, if your goals aren't directed in the right direction, basically what I'm trying to say is you're wasting your time. And part of that is you have to figure out what it is that you want to be, and well, you don't have to figure out what you want to be, but who is the person that you envision is like the all-time, you know, person. And then you have to like set then you have to set like that direction. Okay, so does that person have a convertible or something? Okay, so that's your first goal. First goal is to make enough money to be able to purchase a convertible, and then, oh my gosh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically everything you're doing is to line up your life with that perfect ideal vision of who it is that you desire. And then that's where you need to set your goals towards, so that you're not pursuing nothing. You know what I mean? Because you could be doing a lot, but going nowhere. That's perfect. That's the best way I can put it. You can be doing a lot, but still going nowhere at the same time. And so part of like setting all these, like this picture perfect plan, like I said, because like I want to do the books and I want to do the talking gigs, but the other part of it is the money side of it. So like I want to do all these as income sources, but in order to do that, I have to look at like, okay, like how is books gonna make me that income, and how can I optimize that? And so, like, for a few of them, like, I was also talking about YouTube, because I at least want to do YouTube until, like, I'm 40 or something. And then, even then, like, I'll probably still do it. It'll probably just look a little bit different, I think. But But like looking into YouTube, like the ways that I'm gonna make this income is I'm gonna have hold on, distracted. The ways that I'm gonna make income from YouTube is I'm gonna have like ad revenue, obviously, and then like affiliate links and I mean stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like basically what I'm trying to say is like that. I mean that's just one part of it, and then I'm also gonna be doing podcasting, which I'm gonna be. I think I'm gonna be making income through like sponsors. I know like affiliate links too. And then a lot of people do put their videos on YouTube, which seems to be like one of the best ways to gather that income, or not the income, but like views, because people like to see something. You know what I mean? Like unless people are at work and or like they're just doing busy stuff or like cleaning their house or whatever. Like I feel like part of the reason why Joe Rogan's podcast, for example, is so famous is because of the fact that or one, he has excellent guests, but two, it's just like he has the video and it's also more of like a laid back type of vibe, which is sort of why I do this, because it's just like I'm just, you know, playing Pokemon, or you can hear like the music in the background, sort of something to zone out to. Like I think it's very relaxing. Like I listen to these for myself a lot. But anyway, so at some point I'm gonna add video to my How About Yous also. Which if you don't know about my How About Yous, I have two podcasts. I have this one, and this one is just sort of like the second part, because the drop is all about like the documentation for me getting to where I'm gonna be, right? And so then but sort of like the vision, like where am I going, is more related with How About You, which is to like I want to create sort of like this culture of create a culture of what am I trying to say? A culture of leadership and like thinking about like self-improvement, you know what I mean? But I mean basically in simple terms, like a culture of leadership. And so like How About You is sort of like the library, I say. It's the library of leadership tools taught through the leadership experiences of my guests. And I say that because I feel like every single person in the world has a leadership experience. It's just you kind of have to dig for it. And so that's where my job comes in, where I just want to dig into the experiences, share those experiences, and sort of maybe like dissect it later. So I've actually been thinking about like, what if I did like second episodes for my drop, where I will where I'm gonna record what am I trying to say? Where I'm going to sort of like record insight onto like the episodes, like what I've sort of taken away from it, because I feel like one of the pieces that's missing that people don't see is every single episode that I record, like I learn a lot. Like I learn a really, really huge lesson that gets lost, I think, in between people watching and me releasing. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's easy to think that like once I release it, that I just sort of forget about it. But it's not really like that. Like, a lot of times I actually stay in contact with a good amount of the guests. Like, I'm still in contact with Keith Newber, and we're actually working on a little project together. He's starting a blog, which is really, really neat. I actually got to, I'm going to have to talk about that sometime, because he's been doing, like, reframing. Like, if you don't know Keith Newber, he is a clinical psychologist. If you haven't watched How About You, then you won't know this. But I've done 2 episodes with him. He's a clinical psychologist. He has worked on 3 books, and they are all having to do with what am I trying to say? Three books, and I'm trying to think what the best decision is. Gosh, I'm so distracted. Okay. He's alright, focus. So he's written 3 books, and it's all sort of has like this theme of reframing your mindset, you know what I'm saying? So, like, basically what his mission is with a lot of his work is just to show people that you have a choice, where typically you think or you forget that you do. Like, a lot of people, just for example, someone pulls in front of you and cuts you off in traffic, and you get so frustrated about it and get so angry about it. You become, like, that is the ultimate slavery. Whenever someone has so much power over you where they can make you angry and upset and frustrated and ruin your whole entire day in an unproductive way. Like, I know, like, you know, if you can control your anger, you can turn it into drive to achieve. Like, I see that. But to let it ruin your whole entire day because of something one person said or did, or because they cut you off, you are a slave to that person and you don't even realize it. And so his whole mission is to start with the mentality of it. So change this mindset from that anger and frustration to a more productive mentality where you're to where you don't, like, okay, like his whole thing is okay, like, someone cut you off, like, what is the opportunity in this situation, you know what I'm saying? And it's not even necessarily like like he's not saying, like, turn a bad situation into a good situation. Like, a bad situation is a bad situation. Like, your aunt dying is not good and it's never going to be good. But how can you sort of rethink it into a way where it can be productive? You know what I mean? And so that's the focus of a lot of his work. And so he's written The Art of Perspective Management. Or it's not, if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. The Art of Perspective Management, which is the first book that we talked about. No, that was the second book that we talked about on my podcast. Shoot, what was I gonna say? That's the second book that we talked about. Oh, shoot, I keep killing them. Okay, that's the second book that we talked about on my podcast, and got distracted again. Like I said, and it's just sort of like this playful way to sort of think about all the negative things that you experience in your life. And it's It's very helpful, I would say. But then the second book that we looked into was he wrote a book called Generational Challenges, which is all about the struggles between millennials and what are they called? The generation above Generation X. Is it baby boomers? Because right now it's a really awkward situation where you have baby boomers, and the baby boomers are running businesses and dealing with these younger people in the workforce, and people are working longer. So right now you have Generation X, who is sort of in this weird position of working between baby boomers and millennials. And then you have millennials, who are sort of like these more or just very different thinking, like in general, a very different working generation than the baby boomers. And of course it's in general, like nothing is 100%. That should go without saying though. But it's interesting just to dig into the just some of those ideas, because one, like a lot of what it is just sort of even just being open to having the conversation between a baby boomer and a millennial, because a lot of times we don't quite realize, like we always think about baby boomers as like these old dudes who are out of touch, you know what I mean? But really, like they're not as like we forget that they created, like the technology that we're using, they designed, you know what I mean? And part of the reason why I think, or why it seems like that generation is so like ignorant or cut off to new ideas, is because we sort of approach these situations in conversation as if they are behind. And for anyone, you know, that can get frustrating whenever you feel like unappreciated, unrespected, and so I think that's where a majority of the what is it called? The majority of the unease, is that what I'm trying to say? No, I'm trying to say a majority of that struggle of connection between these two groups is coming from, is the lack of ability to put yourself aside and take a more open approach on both sides, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, so it's just, and then he talks about like boomers too. Like boomers, like you have to get rid of this idea, because he talks about like one of the really, really great things that Keith Neuber does is he uses stories to explain the situations. And so the reason why this is so beneficial is because it makes it so that like you can sort of like put a face to a situation, you know? And so there's this boomer who is running his business that his dad created, which is also another very interesting topic. Just the fact that traditionalists are the ones, like the pioneers that built these businesses, and then the boomers are the one that are sort of like living off of the fruits of the labor, you know? And what was I gonna say? Yeah. Okay. And then Generation X, you know, just where college became a bigger deal. Generation X then is the ones who went to college, weren't Oh. Okay. Who went to college weren't super. Or who went to college weren't super entrepreneurial, but were more like manager type of people. Um, from my own experience, like they tend to be very like realistic and very like down to earth or straight to the point, you could say. Like they don't really mess around too much, which if you ask me is kind of boring. But none of my business. What was I gonna say? Yeah. Oh yeah. And then you have the Generation X, like the difference between Generation X, being more like a manager position, is they still value like work, whereas then you get to the millennials, and the millennials value their personal life over work, and they believe deeply and heavily in a work-life balance, where boomers are more entrepreneurial, work focused, and so they have like if you're not working, like you're lazy basically, or like you're not doing your job. And then even then, like your work, like a boomer would look at YouTube or something I'm doing or making music, and would probably laugh at it because it's not achieving something, I guess, or it's not like if you can't see it being done, I feel like people get confused. I mean, even that goes for anyone. Like it's not even boomers, you know what I mean? I'm just using that example as far as like the business of it goes, or not the business of it, or yeah, the business of it. But you can sort of understand at least where it's coming from, you know what I mean? And then once you understand, you can sort of work through it. But it starts with being open to have that conversation, and also recognizing that like these people have a whole life of experience ahead of you, and there's value in that conversation. Whether they don't want to listen to you or not, it's about what you can get out of them, not what you can give to them. Because sometimes it's better to listen than to talk, you know what I mean? And I think that's something that a lot of people aren't very good at. But it's so important. And that's one of the reasons why I respect, or like why it's so nice to be in connection with Keith Newber, because like I do feel like he, as a clinical psychologist, he's very interested in, one, as a clinical psychologist who does research into this stuff. And whenever I say stuff, I mean who does research into like the generations. It's nice. Well, it's nice to feel appreciated. You know what I mean? And that's how it feels. Like whenever someone is curious about you, and curious about you and wanting to understand. You know what I mean? But all I'm saying, like the point I'm trying to make here is like it goes both ways. You know, like I also come in with this perspective, like what can he give me? You know, he wants to see what I can give him, and I want to know what he can give me. You know what I mean? You just learn a lot more. But shoot, I was talking about his books, and then I got on this. I keep doing this. It's funny. Like right now, I'm getting distracted by my talking, or usually I get distracted by the game. Yeah, I mean, go check out those 2 episodes. He has also check out his book. Like you might as well. He has a lot of really, really great information to give. And it's worth the reading. This is, how does anyone ever do this? It's ridiculous. And checked out my podcast, my other podcast. It's called How About You, and you can find it. My Instagram for it is howaboutyoupod. And you can. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. It's called How About You Pod. Alright, reframe it, Josh. Okay, How About You Pod, and in there you can see I don't post too much on there, not as much as I really should. Okay, I'm getting frustrated. Okay, How About You Pod? And yeah, or like I said, I don't post as much on there as I should. But whenever I do post, you'll see. Oh my lord. Okay. Well, I think that was a good episode for today. I think I'm gonna cut it here, and then whenever I come back, I'll have this all figured out. Anyway, well, before I leave, like I said, I feel like this whole episode I've been pitching How About You, so I'm gonna, you already get that. But something else, check out my, I have TheLeafDesigner. I have, a few other, little side things that you can check out. Obviously, check out, my regular YouTube channel where I just release, the drop episodes. This is just something for fun. I play Pokemon. I'll probably play another game after this. But the audio for this is going to be on my podcast through Anchor.fm or Spotify. So definitely check that out. If you enjoy these or just want to hear the audio or something like that. Typically I just talk about whatever. It's not really focused, and the reason being is because I want it to be in the long run. It is documentation, sort of a step by step, but per individual episode, it's more we're just chilling out. You know what I mean? So that's sort of the focus of this. Whereas How About You, obviously, like I said earlier, is more the leadership tools, taught through the leadership experiences of my guests. But I just have a good time with these. This less serious stuff, easier content to make.